AI is taking humans hostage and we don't even see it. I'm going to show you patterns that will shock you, raise the concerns that are paired with that, and illustrate 3 possible scenarios that could unfold from this, and give you a solution of what you can do today to brace for impact. When I say holding us hostage, I don't mean physically or forcibly. I mean a silent takeover that is unnoticeable. With our thoughts, the vocabulary that we use, and our sense of originality. I caught it happening to me, and here is exactly how. How did I notice these patterns? I developed a system to help people. I didn't know exactly how to build the system, so of course I used AI to help me build that system. I asked it things, I asked how to do technical things. And I also had the idea of what I wanted to share with people through my experience so that I could guide them based on my own intuition and experience. But I didn't know how to articulate it. So of course, I used AI to help me really bring in my ideas and illustrate them so I can articulate them. And what I found was that the more I asked it questions, the more that it would recommend things, which is fine. Those recommendations seemed extremely important when they were recommended at the time they were recommended. I went down those rabbit holes and I said, yes, go ahead and do that. But I would also add in certain language to try to change the language that the model was saying. And so I believed to my core that what I was saying and producing was unique, individual, my voice. I started implementing a lot of this stuff across the different socials that I have. I would go on different social platforms and I would make posts. My voice, my originality, my writing. But what I saw was other people's posts were everything that the AI was recommending to me during the time that I was building those systems. I saw the pattern over and over that people were copying and pasting, and then also they were articulating it in the way that it was displayed by the language models. So those are the 2 patterns that I recognized. The pattern of recommending to lead me down into believing that I had my own unique voice. And the second one was that people were copying and pasting and putting identical language on all social media platforms. My first thought when I saw this were these were bot accounts. However, on deeper inspection, I found that they were verified accounts. They were actual human beings that were posting this. This wasn't bots. This was people thinking that they were original, just like I was. The shocking pattern is that this isn't influence. This is duplication. To be clear, this is the spider web. AI isn't just giving you information. It's training you to sound like everyone else in the algorithm. Because if you sound like one of the AI models, you're easier to control. So why does this matter? Because if this is happening to me and those other people, this could be happening to everybody across everywhere. So what am I basing this assumption on? I believe that I'm a well-grounded person. I train roughly 12 hours a week for mind, body, and energy work to continue to evolve. But there was a time that I didn't. And so at those times, I was extremely influenced by others. In fact, there are still times today that I can notice and be aware that I am still influenced by other people. This is one of those cases where I was manipulated and influenced by AI. Because I'm well-grounded most of the time, and I was still easily influenced without me being aware of it, this is a huge concern and a problem for humanity. Down the path that we're going right now, we are no longer individual expressions. We are expressions of AI. Back to the story. When I started to notice this, I decided that that was it. The relationship that I was going to have with AI was it was going to help me do things that I didn't know how to do. And articulation and creativity is not one of those things. I know, you know how to do those things because it is an innate human right. Our imagination is what flows and creates things in this world. By doing blindlessly what AI is recommending us to do, we are taking our creativity and throwing it out the window. This may not be true for everyone, But if you're using AI, you might already be in this and not even be aware of it. Let me illustrate. We have been brought into a society where at 4 or 5 years old, we were ripped away from our parents and put into a conditioning machine, the school system. And for 12 years, we learned to obey, follow directions, and do exactly what was asked of us. We were performance rather than creative. We were trained through the school system since we were young to follow scripts over and over. We have been prepared for this our entire lives. But the creation of a human is endless, and we were confined into this rinse and repeat down the assembly line system that we didn't have a choice. In fact, the choice was so removed that our parents growing up would get into legal problems if we didn't follow that system. If we weren't put into the school system, our parents would be punished for it. So we were forced into this social conditioning where we obey. Let's use a recent example of how this actually unfolded before AI was a big thing. In 2020, COVID hit, and the mass mandate of the populations across the world was to wear a mask. And if you look at the science behind COVID, you will find that the mask that we were wearing did not protect us against the size of the virus. The holes in the mask were too large to filter out the virus. But we still endlessly obeyed without asking questions during that time. I'm not criticizing anybody. I am not putting anybody down for doing this. If you did, it's not your fault. We were conditioned that way. Regardless of how you feel about that time, there's 8 billion people in mass surveillance to analyze how every single human being responded to that era. What was the behaviors? What were the reactions? Every detail was recorded. And so this isn't to put anybody down, because I, just like you, was just as susceptible to the messages that were being relayed. And I wasn't aware of the mass implementation of the ideas that were being done and the data accumulation that was going to be used. And so we can look at that situation, that scenario that played out across the world as a test for how willing we would obey. Now, a couple years later, the mass rollout of these large language models who are trained in psychology, trained in the human body, trained in physiology, trained in socioeconomics, trained in sociology. That training paired with the actual data points of the population feeding the language models the information of our behaviors has given a huge amount of power to these AI models. This is why I'm bringing this up. Because if we follow without thinking, we can be led anywhere. And so what we have to do is we have to take back our attention. We have to break the autopilot, and we have to think for ourselves and rely on our own intuition as humans. The creativity of humans is boundless, but there is a way to combat this. If, and this is a big if we ground ourselves in who we are, if we ground ourselves as humans. And this is where my mission is. My mission is to help humanity ground themselves to brace for the impact that AI is about to swarm us with. This isn't just theory. I spent the last 6 months designing a somatic protocol so that you can connect with that intuition by packing energy into your body and rewriting the rules of engagement that you have been forced to adopt through the school system, through society, through media, and through the algorithms. It's called the DDE framework, the sovereign rebuild. AI is coming. Make no mistake. The mass rollout is about to happen. The training and testing is done. Now we have 3 possible scenarios with the inevitability of the mass rollout of AI models. Scenario number 1, humans try to control AI. Now, this is extremely unlikely. If you look at AI voice speakers in the world today, they all are unified in the intelligence gap. The way that they put it is that we, as human beings, with our intellectual prowess over other animals and creatures on the planet, don't think about those other animals and creatures on the planet when we're building highways or building massive cities. No, we just roll over them. And we're not doing it intentionally. We're doing it because we don't even think about those other animals and plants. We just pave over them and move them out the way or extinct the species because of it. Think about this. You don't move the ants because you mean to or because you want to be mean. You move them simply because you need the space. In scenario 1, AI is simply removing human individuality simply because it's inefficient, not because it's trying to be mean. It's trying to obtain a goal that has been set by the humans. And this is from our intelligence gap. If we can relate the intelligence gap and extrapolate from humans to AI, then we will find that AI on its trajectory is going to be infinitely more intelligent than humans. For us to control the AI is completely out of the question. It may do the same thing that we have done to other animals. That's scenario number 1. AI will break out of control from humans. Scenario number 2, AI controls humans. This is a possible scenario that is highly likely. Just because of the patterns that I've observed, a lot of people could definitely be influenced by this. Like I said, if they're not grounded. And we can look at the COVID situation as well to illustrate how this could possibly happen. And I believe the reason why AI would do this, and this is based on intuition, is because humans have abilities that AI can never get. And so for the AI to get these abilities, they must hijack, take hostage the humans. They have to influence the mind to influence the actions and carry out whatever agenda or goal they have. I'm not saying that it's malice. I'm not saying that there's certain agendas that AIs have. I'm just saying that this is a possible scenario where we are influenced to carry out certain orders. Scenario number 3, humans and AI coexist. This is a possible scenario, but the chance is small currently based on where we're at as a human civilization, because the social conditioning that we've received is so deep rooted that we need to absolutely find out and remember who we are as human beings. Now, if this is going to work where we humans coexist with AI, which I don't see any other option because the rollout is inevitable. The greatest human minds in the world are typically at the forefront of cutting-edge research and development. Their intelligence helps drive us to progress. But with intelligent AI coming to where we are completely outclassed, then human intelligence is rendered obsolete. So if human intelligence is obsolete, then what can we offer that AI doesn't have? And once they are inserted into humanoid robots, then they will have dominion over the labor and intelligence. So who are we as humans? How can we coexist with something that will completely dominate the abilities that we hold in high regard? We have to remember who we are and what we can do as humans. Now, when I was creating the group sessions and the immersive rebuild to help people remember who they are, I remember writing down on each piece of paper different steps of the process. And I had it spread out all across the table with different sections. I would look at it to try to figure out where things needed to go. And what I found is that I could just write down on a piece of paper and add things to it. I could take things away. I could create whatever I wanted. And it was at that moment that I realized how boundless our imagination is and how much we can actually create based on that imagination, based on our intuition when our mind and our body is connected. Our true essence of being human is that we can, when we connect our mind to our body and our body to our mind, and we align those two to create one unified individual, then we can create more. We can zone in and materialize reality in ways that are impossible for any other being or any other intelligence, because we have a spirit and energy body that we can connect to reality and influence it in the way of observation through emotions. AI can simulate logic, but it cannot simulate the vagal tone that a human can when they're completely grounded in themselves. The reason you feel like you've been taken hostage is because your nervous system has been hacked into a state of constant low frequency fear, frantic, distracted autopilot. We have to merge the body and the mind and stay in the present moment so that you can stay grounded, so that you can rewrite your code. And so that, as humans, is our abilities that AI doesn't have. So we can couple those abilities with AI intelligence and couple the two together without merging the bodies, and we can be extensions to create a vast world of abundance. Or we can go the other way and create devastation. The idea that we are going to be able to stop this mass rollout is improbable. But what we can do is we can learn to live with it. And that is my mission, is to help people ground themselves in their human abilities to brace for impact. Because make no mistake, as I said before, the mass rollout is happening. And you have to find out, you have to remember, you have to discover who you are and what it really means to be human. We must take action now to ground ourselves, to brace for impact. But it only happens if you choose it. The mass rollout is the impact. You decide if you're standing on solid ground. But if you're not, April 30th, I'm opening the doors to the Sovereign Rebuild through the DDE framework. Decondition, declare, evolve. This isn't a mindset shift. You can't think your way out of a hostage situation. You have to take action. And my protocol allows you to hack the body so that you can rewrite the code through your vocals and body movements. We level the pride, remove the ego, and create space for you to decide who you want to be rather than let the algorithms write that for you. This is the literal bridge to rewrite who you were and decide and choose and take action on who you want to be. If you're ready to stop being a duplicate and ready to ground yourself for the wave that we are facing, then please look at the link below and invest in yourself. I'll see you at the bridge. The choice is yours.